Hello everyone. So in this video lecture we are going to see about data analysis in research methodology and what are the tools for data analysis. So let's start with first one. So before studying the data analysis we have to know the two keywords that are processing and analysis of data. So after the collection of data from primary or secondary sources, arrangement is done so that the same may be analyzed and interpreted with the help of statistical tools. So once we start our research process, what we have to do, we have to collect some resources or some data from our primary and secondary sources. After collection of the data, we have to analyze that data. We have to interpret some findings from those data with the help of some tools. For example, some tools are SPSS, and if we are having or MS Excel, or and for some simulation purpose we are having network simulators, Omnet. These are some of the tools. The software packages used are MS Excel, SPSS, Google Docs, etc. There are many software packages. At the end of this lecture I am also giving you a supportive video lecture. In that there are 10 different tools are provided. So that video is very much beneficial for each and every learners. So let's see what are the process and what are the flow of processing of data. So first of all we have to edit the data, and in this editing there are two types, or we can say that two parts. The first one is field editing and the second one is central editing. After once the editing is completed, it is followed by the step that is coding. After that, classification, tabulation and graphing. So when we collect the data, what we have to do, we will first of all edit those data. Editing means that we have to remove the unnecessary data, the data which are not required in our research. After that we have to code those data. Coding does not means we have to use programming language. Coding here means that we have to decode it according to our need. After that we have to classify those data, and then we use the tabulation method, and at the last we use the graphing. So once the graphing is done, that is once the output is obtained, we can use those outputs. So what is data editing? It is a process by which collected data is examined to detect any errors or omissions, and further these are corrected as much as possible before proceeding further. So first of all we edit, as I have told you earlier that once the data is collected we remove all the unnecessary things. So it is done with the help of two types. The first one is field editing and the second one is central editing. So let's see the definition of both the field editing and central editing. What are these? So first one is field editing. So this is a type of editing that relates to abbreviated or illegible written form of gathered data. Such editing is more effective when done on same day or the very next day after the interview. So once the field study, or we can say that the data is collected with the help of our field study, then without wasting any time we we edit those data in a day or two. So the investigator must not jump to conclusion while doing field editing. So this is a very important part of data editing. The second one is central editing. So this type of editing relates to the time when all data collection process has been completed, and in this process a single or a common editor corrects the error, like entering the wrong place, entering in a wrong unit, etc. So as a rule all the wrong answers should be dropped from the final results. So in this central editing, once all the editing is done or all the data is collected, then only the editing is being done. Next is the benefits of data editing. So the data obtained is complete in all respect, and it is accurate in terms of information recorded and response solved. The response format is in the form that was instructed, and the data is structured in a manner that entering the information will not be a problem. So these are the benefits of data editing. Let's see what is data coding. So the process of identifying and denoting a numerical value or numeral to the responses given by the respondent is called coding. Sorry. So once we identify the data, or the process of identifying is done, then each and every data or the responses is denoted by a number, and this is known as data coding. So this is an example of data coding. We can see that there are unit column 1, occupation in column 2, vehicle in column 3, kilometers per day is column 4, and marital status in column 5, and family size in column 6. So these are the sample record of, or we can say that the Excel sheet for two-wheeler owners. So the data are matched and accordingly they are classified. So once the data collection and editing is done, then comes the new or the next phase, that is classification of data. So classification of the data implies that the collected raw data is categorized into common group having common features. So data having common characteristics are placed in a common group. So in this what we do, that all the data which are having the same features are collected and are kept in a common group, and the entire data collected is categorized into various groups or classes, so which convey a meaning to the researcher. So there are two ways of classification. The first one is classification according to attributes, and the second one is classification according to the class intervals. So let's see both the classification. The first one is classification according to the attributes. So here the data is classified on the basis of common characteristics that can be descriptive, like literacy, sex, honesty, marital status, etc. So according to these all characteristics, the attributes are determined. Descriptive features are qualitative in nature and cannot be measured quantitatively, but are kindly considered while making an analysis. So the descriptive features are also taken into consideration. The second one is classification on the base of interval. So the numerical features of data can be measured quantitatively and analyzed with the help of some statistical unit, like the data relating to income, production, age, weight, etc. So these all comes under the category, and this type of data is known as statistics of variables, and the data is classified by way of intervals. So actually in this we consider some intervals, such as the age between 10 to 15, the weight between 50 kgs to 60 kg. So these are the interval related classification. Next comes the tabulation of data. So tabulation is an orderly arrangement of data in rows and columns. So as we know that the table is a composition of rows and columns. So similarly, tabulation of data is done with the help of rows and columns, and tabulation summarizes the raw data and displays those data in forms of some statistical tables. So there are two types of tables. First one is vertical tables and the second one is horizontal tables. Next comes the graphing of data. This is the last part. So in this the visual representation of data is being done, and the data are presented as absolute numbers or percentage. So in this graphing of data, the data has been described in histogram, bar graph, and all the things. So the most informative are simple and self-explanatory. So these are bar charts. We will see these all things in the next video. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.